Kura team, welcome back. Welcome to another Rough Reviews. Well, I thought you've probably been keeping up with my channel anyway, and I've been doing quite a bit on Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. And I thought that I should probably do a review now because I've been playing for about 150, 160 hours now. And I thought it was probably a good time to give you my general thoughts and opinions about the game simulator as a game. And I guess that's probably the first thing that we have to kind of nail about this is it a simulator or is it a game? Or is it a little bit of both, really? And what are its pros and cons, upsides and downsides? One of the downsides really is the general loading time, but we'll maybe get to that in a minute. That may be justified. If you're an older generation like me, you remember loading games from cassette or floppy disk, and they used to take ages. Like, I mean, 25 minutes. So to say that it takes a few minutes to load this game is probably not that bad. But what is it? I suppose is the first thing. Is this a flight simulator that wants to be a game, or is it a game that wants to be a flight simulator? And I think we probably have to talk about those two things completely separately. So let's talk about perhaps the flight simulator first. Now, you probably can't really get anywhere in the flight simulator without going through the general training, which is in the career mode. That said, you can, if you don't want to get stuck into the career mode, if you go to the activities, there is a flight training center which will teach you the basics of handling a plane and getting stuck in. And I'm going to return to that in a minute. So let's assume, ignoring career mode, that you go and you do a bit of training and then you decide to jump into free flight mode. This is the simulator part of the game, and this is where you can go anywhere in the world and you can pick a plane. I've got the Fairchild Thunderbolt selected here, but you could pick a plane. You could pick an airport as an original starting, and you could pick an airport as an arrival place, and you could go and you could have a look. And I have to say, I don't know how they're doing this. You can literally go anywhere. You can literally go anywhere. Let's have a look at Cairo. And you can just keep zooming in, and you can just keep zooming in. And if you wait for it to render in, it'll render in, and it has Cairo here. Which is just crazy. How are they doing that? I don't even know how they're doing that. That's how accurate this is. I have no idea. But how are they doing it? I haven't got a clue. You can go anywhere in the world. You can go and do this. You can go to places in Russia, somewhere in the middle of the Siberia somewhere. Let's see if we can find a place in Siberia. Sometimes you have to look for places, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere. Here, look, there's some airports here. There must be a place here. What is this place? Let's wait for it to render in. It's cloudy. It's cloudy and it's dark. It's cloudy and it's dark. But here we go. Look, some stuff rendering in somewhere, wherever this place is, in Siberia, and it has buildings. You can fly around it. You can fly around this place if you want, if that's the kind of thing that you want to do. So that in itself is like an astounding technical feat. I don't know exactly how they're doing that. I work with aerial imagery as part of my job, and I can tell you it's not easy. it's not easy. So I don't know how they're doing this. There's like places here, that China and various other places where it's like, well, they're big on like their personal security. But here you are, you can zoom all the way in, you can have a look down here, and you can see all this stuff. And it tries its best to render it in 3D. It doesn't always work out. There are issues, but I think we might forgive it a little, given the state of this. Things like there's some things like when you get too close, it starts to get a little bit janky. Bridges. It doesn't understand. The game doesn't understand bridges. Every bridge is a dam. So if you're looking to fly under bridges, I'm sorry. It's probably likely that you're not going to be flying under any bridges because every bridge is a dam. So you would just crash into the side of this bridge. So that's, I mean, that's kind of amazing that they can do that, and that you can do that, and that you can use this to go to wherever you want to go to and fly a plane around and really enjoy that. And that is this part of the simulator part of the game, which is just awesome. That said, probably one of the biggest downfalls to the simulator part of the game is here. There simply isn't enough training for what's going on in this game. These training modules are really rather very basic. Take for example, there's no autopilot training. Right, lots of planes have autopilots. There's very many things that autopilots can do. They can't get you off the ground and they can't land you, but they can follow a course. They can follow an altitude. They can even help line up the plane on approach for landing for runways. They can do a whole bunch of bits and pieces, apparently, and I've only found that out because I went online and had a look. And that's part of the failing of this game and a bunch of other games that exist nowadays. They produce a large, complicated game, and then they don't tell you how to use all of the parts of it. They have gone to a great deal of trouble in this game in recreating the outside and the inside of a lot of planes that have an awful lot of features in them, and then they do not tell you how to use them. And that is really a big downside of the simulator part of the game for me, is there is a lot going on and I would really love to know more about it, and there's no option in game to learn more about it. You have to go and look it up online, and that has always been a bugbear of mine, is that I don't really feel that if you make a game that it should be my responsibility to figure out how the game functions. There should be enough information inside the game to enable me to learn how to use the game. Doesn't have to be easy, doesn't have to be simple. It can be complex and it can be tricky and it can require some learning and some skills. I'm all for it, not a problem. But I want that information given to me in game. And that's probably the biggest failing that I have over the simulation, is that it really is a very arcade style simulation from that perspective, in that it doesn't give you that intermediate advanced level training that it would be really nice to know, so that it makes the most of this as a simulation experience and not as a kind of a game. You know, when you set your, if you go free flight, which is what you're gonna, you know, potentially do quite a bit of, then there's no way to really get radio comms, understand how to change radio frequencies, how to go through setting autopilots to different beacons, and going through air traffic control procedures, you know, plotting a course, plotting waypoints. Say you want to, you know, go and fly around Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Fuji or Machu Picchu, or I don't know, wherever you want to go. None of that is given to you in the simulator, and that really is a downside to me. There are many other good things about the simulator, though. Let's say you just want to set off and you just want to fly a small plane around your local neighborhood. This is me doing that. I live here. This is where I live. I've never seen this from the air. I mean, I've flown in and out of where I live in planes and going places and such, but you know, you get this opportunity, and this is what I mean about the graphics as well. The graphics are really good as a simulator. It's really good, and like I said, the rendering inside the cockpit and everything else, it's real good quality, you know. And you get this opportunity to look around, and you can see things. You can have a look at where you are, you know, and it really is a very good experience, even if you just want to do something simple. Maybe you don't want to do something simple. Like I said before, maybe you want to go somewhere you've never been before. This is me flying over Mexico City. I've never been to Mexico City. I don't know what Mexico City looks like. Now I do. I know what Mexico City looks like because I've taken a plane there and I've flown around and I've had a look. And you know, like I said, you can see that some of the 3D rendering doesn't work very well. It struggles with some concepts. It struggles with some bits and pieces. But you know, you get the idea. You can go and just fly around a place, which is fine, and that's great. And you know, also, you can bear in mind, you don't have to obey the rules. What if you want to do something else? What if you want to fly through the skyscrapers of Mexico City? Sure, I mean, as long as you don't crash your plane, and as long as you can find somewhere to do it, you can do that too. Want to recreate your favorite action movies? Jet fighter over Manhattan. You can do that too. So, you know, in terms of the simulation experience, you have all of these possibilities and opportunities in terms of what the game is trying to deliver to you, and you can have a little bit of fun, and it can be something that you can try out, and you can have a look at Manhattan from the sky while you're recreating Transformers or the Avengers. So that really covers the simulator part of the game and the pros and cons of the simulator part of the game. And I suppose if we return back here to the splash screen, you have a various other little bits of things. This is getting into the gamey part of the game. You know, there's challenges here like World Photographer, which has these little challenges, which is you're supposed to, like, you know, go get a plane, pardon me, fly around some of these areas, take photos, etc. You know, try and find animals and do stuff in bits and pieces. I mean, I guess if that's the kind of thing you want to do, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, but maybe it's up to you. Maybe it is the kind of thing that you want to do. Maybe it's a way of if you don't know what goals to set yourself, it's a way of setting yourself some goals. I think that's for. We have these challenge leagues because, of course, every game has to pit humans against humans for some bizarre reason. You know, so you need to go and you need to, you know, have a crack at doing these various challenges for some reason. If that's the kind of thing that you want to do, it's not the kind of thing that I want to do. We've already had a look at some of the activities. There's some fun stuff in here. There's Stranger Things, which is, you know, you can go and fly around Hawkins, the Upside Down, etc. There's the Red Bull air racing things, of course. Couldn't have a flight simulator without it. It's obviously on the opening titles. They make a big thing out of it. You've got these rally races, some jet flying, some landing challenges. Looks like the National Championship air races are out for now. Discovery, which is, again, it's a kind of, you know, various nice points of interest around the world, and custom content, which is whatever it is. So there's bits and pieces here, which, again, if you don't know what to do, or you're bored with career mode and you want a little bit of a break from something, this is a way of kind of setting a different goal for yourself, etc., etc. But really, sort of the crux of the game sits in the career mode, and the career mode is, I think, fraught with a few kind of little bits and pieces which are sort of difficulties. And this is set up with these different things, which is your certification, your specialization, companies, and just general missions. Your certification in here, some of it relates to the training and some of it does not. And this also, in my opinion, really falls down in that For this particular certification, which is your opening certification, you get a bunch of training, which is fine. For your commercial pilot license, you get a bunch of training, which is fine. For your introduction to rotorcraft, you get a bunch of training, which is fine. After that, you don't get anything. Turbine engine rating? No, you just have to fly it. What about, I don't know, something complex like a jet engine? No, no training. So again, they've put all these things in place, but essentially all you do is pay the money and you pass the exam, and really it's a piece of piss. So they don't even take you through individual trainings. All of these skill sets, they could have come with very particular training modules to enhance your skill sets. IFR, the instrument rating training, does come with some explanation, which is fine. Night training comes with a little bit, but not really a heck of a lot, and not all of it is related to night currency. So, you know, and major airline, you get one takeoff and one landing, and the training's not very good, to be fair. So this really is a big miss from my perspective, in that it really is a wasted opportunity to go through explaining all those layers of complexity of these different types of aircraft and how you use them and various other bits and pieces. Um, you know, instrument rating doesn't have anything about autopilots. There should be like an autopilot here just entirely by itself, because autopilots is there. What about radio frequencies? What about air traffic control procedures? What about plotting a course? What about, I mean, I could go on. There's lots and lots of stuff I could go on about. It's not here. None of it is here. So it's really a big failing for me. The specializations themselves, they're really just kind of, again, they're kind of like mini goals, I suppose, that you could let the game set for you. And you'll see here, unfortunately, they disappear after you've completed them. So, say for Cargo Transport Light, the prerequisites are that you have to, where it says here, perform airplane missions with landing smoothness above 50%. There was a number there. I can't remember how many it was. 2, 3, 5, whatever. I can't remember. It's gone now, so I can't tell you. Same with airplane missions here above, like 10 or something, 15. They seem like common numbers. So you have to kind of like, you have to do these, and then this unlocks. So you have to do Cargo Transport Light to unlock Cargo Transport Medium, right? Because it's down here, perform cargo airplane missions, and I had to do 10 of those or 15 of those or whatever. And so it goes, and on it goes. What it doesn't tell you is that there are no cargo transport heavy missions, and there are no cargo transport super heavy missions, and there hasn't been for some time. I don't know if there is on other platforms. We don't know anything about when this is coming. If it's coming, presumably it's meant to be coming. But we don't know anything about it, so you know that's not great. You know, it's fine. It's, again, it's goals, it's targets, it's mini goals, it's things that you want to do. There's various rotorcraft ones as well. I haven't finished all of those. There's various other bits and pieces that you have to do. You have to do so many rotorcraft missions, so many bush landings. You know, so on and so forth. So there's all these little bits and pieces, which is just a way of, again, giving you kind of mini goals. But this does unlock different kinds of missions, and different kinds of missions unlock different kinds of planes and things. I'll get into companies at the end briefly. If you have a look at missions, this is kind of like, I suppose, one of the gamey components, really. So the obvious idea is that you have all of these different, and these are because I've unlocked. When you start out, there's a lot less unlocked, but because I've unlocked a whole load of specializations, I have a lot of different missions. Now you can see there's a lot of missions to choose from. So there are a lot of missions that you could choose. And the question is, you know, what, why, where, and when. Maybe you want to do this because you want to fly the Textron Aviation Beechcraft Bonanza. Maybe that's a particular plane you like flying, or maybe you've never flown it. You want to get used to it. Maybe you want to fly the Viking to Haviland because you've never flown it. You want to do it. Maybe you're picking a mission because you want to, fly a particular kind of plane. You want to challenge yourself with a particular kind of plane. Maybe you are looking at, let's say, an agricultural aviation mission. They're particularly challenging, and you want to do that because you want to, challenge yourself with, spraying this particular field. And that's kind of hard. It's this little small runway. Maybe you want to pick a mission. I'm kind of hoping was looking for a grass runway somewhere. So you pick this mission. Of course, the minute I look for a grass runway, there isn't one. But you get my point. You pick a mission because you want to test yourself getting on and off the ground on short runways, or whatever. Or you can even go into the filters here, and you can pick a plane, and you can say, I want to fly the Cirrus Vision jet. And you go, right, there's a whole load of ferry flights. I can fly this little jet aircraft from here to here, and it's LIFR, IFR. You want to challenge yourself with some instrument flight ratings and things like that. So you could do all of that. Then there's the money part. So you can see that we've got money up at the top. What is money? What do you want money for? It's a good question. It's a good question I've been wrestling with as part of the game. What is the point of money? So we'll go back to the companies to have a look at this, because the only real reason to have money is to buy a plane. Let's go and have a look at some planes. So I own this business. This is a VIP charter business. So if I wanted a plane in this VIP charter business, these are the planes I can buy. The red ones I can't buy because I don't have enough money. I don't have 8.625 million credits to buy the Citation CJ4, which is arguably that's your kind of like executive jet, right? That's the kind of thing that you see in movies and stuff, as you see this thing, on the runway, and Tom Cruise climbs in and flies off for some Mission Impossible mission, right? And you have the little, the little Cirrus Vision jet, and you got a bunch of other bits and pieces. So you buy these planes, and that's great, and you own these planes, and then what? Well, sometimes they make you money, sometimes they don't. You can fly them on missions and make more money than you would if you didn't have a plane, but that's just money for money's sake. You're just money to own a plane. To fly a plane, you can fly a plane if you want. You can go into free flight, fly a plane. You can go into the missions and fly a plane. So I'm not really, because money really is another thing. Money is a heck of a grind. I mean, I just showed you a plane. It was 8.6 million, right? 8.6 million. Now, if you don't own a business, this is the kind of money that you get paid. Like, we're talking thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you were to take this mission, which takes you 2 hours, by the way, you get 25,000 credits for this mission. Now, I'm no expert in math, as a lot of people know, but 4 of those equals 100,000, and you need 10 of those to equal 1 million, and you need 8 of those to equal 8 million, right? So that's 4 times 10 is 40 times 8. That's 320 2-hour missions to afford a jet. I mean, that seems ridiculously excessive to me, and very, very unbalanced. Because what is the downside to that? What's the downside to me making $250,000 a mission, for example? It would still take me a long time to get to 8 million. And it's not like I'm competing against anyone. This is a solo game. I'm not, there's no competition. I don't get an advantage from having a plane. So why are the mission payouts so very, very small? And then why does it make it so hard? Because one of the obvious intentions of the game, or one of the ways you could play the game, I should say, is you have all these different companies that you can own. You can own a flight seeing business, skydiving, cargo, agricultural aviation, aerial, passenger charter, firefighting, search and rescue, medivac, aerial construction, and each of these individual businesses has individual groups of planes that you can choose from. So some of them obviously have crossovers. You know, the air tractor for agricultural aviation is also the one that you would use probably predominantly from early level aerial firefighting and so on. The Cessna Grand Caravan is great for cargo transport and skydiving aviation. So becoming a plane collector could be a big part of the game, but it is so grindy, so very, very hard to make money in a general game. Um, and that's an issue, because even if you are starting up a business, you need to buy a plane to get that business running. You can't. The reason that these are shaded out isn't because I don't have 50,000 credits or even 200,000 credits to start a business. The reason that these are shaded out is because I would need at least 2.345 million to buy a plane. So it won't let you start up a company with no plane. It says when you start up a company, you have to have 2.345 million to start up this business, because you will need to buy a plane. So that's the reason why these businesses are not open, and they're probably not really ever going to be open at this rate, because the grind to get money is so very, very hard, and unnecessarily so. I don't see. I can see in certain games where you have a particular kind of gun, or a particular kind of car, or a particular kind of piece of armor, or magic spell, or whatever the situation is. The idea is that you have to grind to get that, because it's so powerful that it needs to be rare. And because it's such an advantage in a firefight, it needs to be rare, etc., etc., etc. That's fine. I get that. I get that. You know, locking things behind a grind for a particular purpose, whether I like it or not, is immaterial. But in this particular game, I don't see a point of such an excessive grind. It really is. It seems to me unnecessarily complex for that. So bear that in mind, because that to me, I would like to have more companies, and I would like to collect planes, and I would like to be able to fly my own planes. I don't know why. It's just greed. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I can go and fly these planes if I want. You know, if I want to try flying a Cirrus jet, like I've said, I can show you a mission, and I can go and do as many as I want. You know, and I can practice flying with that, and I can get used to the plane, and I can practice landing and takeoffs and get better, and everything else, and that's all cool. I can do that as long as I don't get obsessed with money, and it is easy to get obsessed with money. I have done it myself, and then you have to ask yourself, what the hell are you doing, just grinding away at repeating the same missions again and again and again, to get money to buy a plane, for what particular purpose? So I'm not I'm not sold on that bit, and I think possibly from a game perspective, I think that is also a big miss, because I think that's a big turnoff, really. And I have considered, you know, putting it down and walking away on a couple of occasions because of these issues. Which brings me to the last of the issues, I guess, which is the bugs in the game. The game is really fraught with bugs. Since I've got the game, I have had to clear the caches and rebuild the database on my PlayStation 5 at least 3 times. So, like I said, I've been playing it for about 160 hours. So every 20 or 30 hours or so, the game starts crashing quite badly, and I have to go back and clear the caches and things. There's a whole raft of issues with stuff. Often I've been on the world screen. I've been here looking around, and it's crashed. It's just gone to the error report screen. I don't know why. I'm just looking around missions. It seems to be if you spend too much time zooming out, checking filters and doing stuff, it just crashes. I get low bandwidth warnings for some reason. My PlayStation 5 is networked to. I have a very good Asus gaming router, and that is networked directly to my fiber connection, which is a 500 megabits per second fiber connection, and that's perfectly fine. And I getting nearly 500 on a daily basis, but for some reason it keeps telling me I get low bandwidth, and I've changed the bandwidth settings or the data settings in the game to unlimited data. So I don't know. It seems to be an issue for various other bits and pieces. Um, like I have said, the graphics are great as long as you don't get up too close. If you land on a helicopter and go for a walk, it all gets really, really janky. But I suggest maybe you go and do that just for a bit of fun for once in a while. But I mean that's kind of like I said, nitpicking because you're talking about a, a rendition of the entire planet. So we should probably give them a bit of a break for some of their janky graphics and various other bits and pieces. Um, Mission payouts. There's I don't believe that all of the mission payouts are accurate because you never seem to get paid what you're promised to get paid. That's really I don't know. Is that a bug? Is that operating as intended? It's very hard to know because the game doesn't tell you that. Um, and and then there's a whole raft of other stuff. If you skip with some planes, like I had a plane, it was the de Havilland actually, um, the de Havilland Canada, where you skip to a latter part of the mission and the plane crashes on you. There's no way out of that. It's a known bug that some planes, if you skip to the end, the plane comes in a condition it cannot be saved from, and that destroys the mission. I've landed on the ground and been stopped my plane, and the mission has failed, and I've wasted my time on that mission. Just bugs, 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 and bugs. There's just an awful lot of bugs. Um, for the price that you pay, it is surprising that there are quite as many bugs as there are. So do be aware if you are getting the game that it is on the buggier side of a AAA title, because this is what you're paying for. Certainly at the cost that it is, it's AAA, and you're getting a buggy game, which is not great. Like I said, even some of the basic bits and pieces are buggy. Not to mention all of the bits I've said about the not giving you enough training and not giving you enough of this and enough of that. And that's really it. So, I mean, I guess that is Microsoft Flight Simulator for you, really. I think I've covered everything, and I don't want to wax lyrical. And this is not a deep dive into everything to do with the game. This is just a review of the game and a rough review at that. It's a big game. It's an expensive game. If you're looking for a simple level flight simulator, then that's fine. You can avoid the gamey bits, and you can enjoy flying around, seeing places you've never seen from the air, handling a plane, getting used to those bits and pieces. If you want to know more, if you want to do more, I don't exactly know for console how much more you can do. It seems to be that a lot of the controls in the cockpit are locked, due to the limitations of controllers and things. If you have keyboards and stuff for your PlayStation, I don't know how much of that is possible in terms of the limitations of how many controllers you can plug in at a particular time. That's something I haven't tried, so do be aware of that. You really need to do a lot of research online, which is really annoying. I don't like that. That's I'm aware of the irony of that statement, but you know it really does bug me that you can't just have the game help you sort this out. That is what, you know, this is the game. It's supposed to help me play the game, not make it into an exercise in YouTube content creators. So I really don't like that. And as a gamey game, the mission payouts are dreadful, and the amount of bugs really is frustrating at times. So I think it tries to steer its way between being both a flight simulator and a game, and probably misses the mark on both parts effectively, and is sort of a half-assed attempt at both. Really, it's not very effective game because I believe requiring someone to do 320 2-hour missions, which is 640 hours, which is like it's years. If this was the only game that you played, you'd be playing for years just to get one jet. And I know things change as you earn companies and make companies and stuff, but it seems to me that's an unnecessary grind. If I felt it had some need behind it, you know. And the simulator, just not enough training, not enough understanding, not enough awareness, not enough help in trying to turn it into a really good simulator. So I think, you know, in reality, yeah, I'm on the fence with it. I don't mind playing around with the planes. I really don't think it was worth what I paid for it, to be honest. I'm amazed by the map. The map alone is really fascinating. And again, I've said I don't really understand how they do that. But I didn't want a version of Google Earth, you know? If that's all I wanted was a version of Google Earth, well, you know, I'd go and download Google Earth. That's not what I wanted. I wanted something else, and this is sort of neither of those two things. So there you go. Bear that in mind. Let this be a cautionary tale for you, I guess. You can agree, disagree, do whatever you like. Everything is everybody's opinion. This is just my opinion, of course, to give you an idea of what I think is positive and what I think is negative about it. Is it going to stay on my games? Oh, yeah, it will for now, probably, but I don't think it has an awful lot of legs. It might be the kind of thing that might be fun to do from time to time, but it's not, yeah, it can become quite a dreadful time sink for really not an awful lot, and I'm really annoyed that the flight simulator part isn't more detailed and more in-depth. Anyway, I do hope you have found this video useful, and if you have, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, please click the bell notification so you know when the next one of these will be coming out. And I'll see you all for some more reviews and some more gameplay on lots and lots of other things later. Ta-ta for now.